No role plays, no conference calls, no BS. Chris and Lorenzo share 4 decades of combined experience to help you become a more effective leader. This is Hacking Your Leadership.
Welcome to Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lorenzo.
And welcome to this holiday hack. Even though these are kind of pre-recorded right now, I will say Merry Christmas. This is being published on Christmas Day. And so for those of you listening after that, Merry belated Christmas. But if you are listening to Hacking Your Leadership on Christmas Day, we appreciate that. That's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if it's the day after Christmas or any day after that, we appreciate you listening regardless of the holidays or what you got going on.
Awesome. So on these holiday hacks, we're talking about the most watched leadership videos from Gen Z. This is episode 10 in our 13-part series here, and we're going to be going over a video that, in my opinion, it's my favorite video of the entire series, just from a personal standpoint. I think it's the most moving. I think it is it's profound in terms of what it says about the role of a leader and what makes somebody a leader. This video is called "Leading with Lollipops" by Drew Dudley. And I first watched this video several years ago, and I've seen it several times since. And it is it's a moving story about how people can impact other people when they don't even know it.
Every time I watch this video, I have to title it and say "Leading with the Lollipops." I don't know why. It's a hip hop song thing. It's how I read the title of this video. But I'm with you. Like, I think that I love the message of the video. I think it is absolutely so true, especially when you are in a leadership role and like the things that you do every day and the way in which you interact with people. While it might just be like something that you're doing or something that leaders will just say, like, it's just who I am. But really understanding the impact you can have on someone in the moments of conversations, of dialogue, of interactions, I think is absolutely critical.
Right. He starts the video out by saying that, or he starts it out with a story, but the profound kind of lesson of the video is that leadership isn't about changing the world, it's about making somebody's life better. And the first time I heard a story like this is it's kind of a famous a fable now around the boy with the crabs on the beach. A boy's walking on the beach throwing crabs back into the ocean because there's thousands and thousands of them all over the beach. And a man comes walking by and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm throwing crabs back into the ocean. The tide came up last night and it left a million of them on the beach." And the man looked up and down the shoreline, miles and miles of shoreline, and just all covered with crabs. And this little boy picking up one at a time, throwing them back in the water. And the man laughed at him and said, "That this is ridiculous. You're never going to be able to make a difference." And he picked one up and threw it back in, and he said, "I made a difference for that one." And it's this idea of, just because you can't solve the world's problems doesn't mean you can't be a profound impact and influence on an individual person in whatever moment they're having. And that's what leadership is. And doing it over and over and over again for many, many, many people over a period of days and months and weeks and years, that's what makes somebody a leader. But they all break down to these little moments and how you can impact and influence and make somebody's life better.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that it's a great example. It's a great story. And when thought about that way from a leadership perspective, just, as complex as the jobs can be, as complex as the outcomes, the results that you measure, the responsibilities that you have, all the things that are happening in the day-to-day of work, the simplicity of an interaction is really what it comes down to. How do you connect with that individual person? How do you connect with a customer? Whatever that might be, like a lot of what we deal with comes down to those moments of time where it's, as a leader, between you and the people that you work with. And again, you can go on about your day and figure out, like, I can't solve everybody's problems, and I can't I can't possibly have this major impact that I want to have on everyone. But you can, if you start to really like chunk it down to interaction by interaction, day by day, person by person, and do your absolute best to just bring them along, to give them a moment of inspiration, to give them a moment of validation, to make sure they feel seen and heard. And by doing that over time, that can really be helpful when it comes to building the culture that you want to build.
Right. We make things more complicated than they should be sometimes, like either from a standpoint of trying to validate our own existence or make it seem like our job is more important than it may be under scrutiny, because not everybody is saving lives every day, but it's amazing how an interaction with somebody may save somebody's life, or it may save somebody's day, or it may turn their entire day around, and then that gets paid forward to other people. And the kind of the ripple effect that occurs when you make decisions as a leader to positively impact somebody's life, not from the standpoint of, I can't fix this, so why bother trying, which I think was what happens to a lot of people, and they withhold those what Drew calls lollipop moments. They withhold those things not because they don't know how to do that, but because they think that it won't matter. They think that those little things don't make a difference because they don't necessarily solve the problem as a whole. But it's incredible what those little things can do. And so I want to ask you something. When was the last time somebody did one of these, what Drew calls a lollipop moments, for you? And they might not even know they've done that for you, or maybe they know now, but they didn't when they did one of these things for you. But it had a profound impact on your life. And so I want to ask you that. But first, I want to give it toward one of our sponsors. All right, Lorenzo, can you think of a lollipop moment that has happened to you that might be something as fleeting as a 10-second conversation, or something where the other person left just thinking it was a regular day, a regular conversation, but it had an impact on you to the point where you would consider this a moment of leadership from this person?
It's happened a handful of times, I think, in my career. I've been pretty public with one of them, just around the story of, like, somebody in this room will be a better leader than I will be one day, and my job is to find you and help you get there. I think that was majorly profound from a leadership standpoint for me. I think another time, more recently, was I had a leader talk about managing to potential versus performance, and really, like, understanding that that leader saw more in my potential and more that I was capable of, and recognized the fact that while I was doing really good work, there was more there, and that his responsibility was to unpack that and to basically hold the bar higher and say, I know you can do it, so I'm going to make you do it by making sure this bar is higher. And then when you achieve it, then we'll both celebrate, kind of a thing. And I think that's really important, because I think sometimes, especially in leadership, and if you've had long careers in leadership, you get into spaces where you've kind of seen it, you've done it, you understand it, you get I'd say comfortable, but really you get confident in being able to go out there and impact, which I think are all really, really important things. But then the real question then becomes, okay, well then who's pushing you to your potential? Not who's focused on, having a leader who's just in the moment around what can you do today. That is absolutely important. But the leader who says, but I know that you can give more for tomorrow. So, like, I'm going to expect you to do what you need to do today, but I need more for tomorrow, and I see the potential in you. I think that was very, very impactful for me.
Yeah, I like those stories a lot. Drew Dudley in this video says that your role as a leader is about those lollipop moments, and specifically, how many do you create, how many do you acknowledge, how many do you pay forward, and how many do you say thank you for? Meaning, so you have a responsibility as both the giver and receiver of these moments. So how many are you creating for others? How many are you acknowledging in your own head when they happen to you? And when they happen to you, how many of them are you paying forward to other people? Taking that and feeling a sense of responsibility to, okay, this was done for me. Who can I do it for? And then I think a lot of times the last one is the most important one, because I think it helps perpetuate it, which is how many do you say thank you for? And there have been times when even after I acknowledge a lollipop moment in the moment, I fail to say thank you for it, because either the moment I realized it was something that had happened months or years later, or months or years earlier, and it just wasn't something that I kind of connected the dots on as being a lollipop moment at the time. But what's stopping you from reaching out to that person and saying, hey, by the way, that interaction we had, you may not even remember it, which in the story that Drew gives in the video, he doesn't. The story that is the most profound to somebody else is a story that he himself doesn't even remember happening, and he tells it through the lens of the person who it was impacting, not even the lens of himself as the leader. But how many times do you reach out to those people and say thank you for that? Because it will validate whatever actions they were doing that led you to have this moment or this impact in your life, and they're more likely to do it more often and to impact more people going forward. So I think the saying thank you one is sometimes the hardest to do, but it's the one that perpetuates this, because it's a positive cycle if you can make it happen.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of asking people to give their leaders flowers.
Yes,
for this exact reason, because I think that we will typically hold leaders accountable, and we will share with leaders how we feel about certain things. But then you have those moments where a leader really does do something amazing, or over time has done something amazing. And so when I'm talking to leaders, I will always ask, kind of like, who are those in your life who have mentored you? Who are those in your life that have really helped you to, solidify the leader that you are today? And then they'll tell me the stories, and then I'll say, like, my ask of you is to let them know that. Go tell them that, because I think it's important that leaders know that, and that they hear that and they feel that, because that is what fuels the continual work of having that impact on other people.
Yeah, and again, I know a lot of people listening right now can think of these moments where they've been positively impacted by somebody, because I think it's easier. It's obviously easier to think about it from the standpoint of you were impacted. If you're thinking about how you've impacted others, that really is impossible, because these lollipop moments aren't defined by the person giving them; they're defined by the person receiving them. But if any of you are listening and thinking, I've had these moments, well, the next thought should be: do all these people in my life know that you've had these moments? And if for most of you, because I know this is a fact for me, a lot of them do, and some of them don't. And so I'm constantly thinking about, why not? If there's a person who has had one of these moments with me, why haven't I called them to say thank you? And if I can't come up with a good reason, meaning they're alive and we have a good relationship, why not? Why not, do that? Because it's likely they're doing it for others already, and it's nice to feel validated for the really good work that we do as leaders.
Absolutely. And with that, it brings us to the end of this episode. This is Hacking Your Leadership. I'm Lorenzo.
And I'm Chris.
And have a great day.